And that's pretty conclusive. Still going.
The other sort of big news only just come through the start this week is the confirmation of the Super Rugby Pacific. I think it's going to be known as, we'd sort of had a good inkling on what the format was going to be for a while with the 12 teams, back to the good old days of 12-team Super Rugby, 5 New Zealand, 5 Australian, Minor Pacifica and the Fiji Drua. You must be pretty excited to see a couple of those sides taking the park next year, Paul?
Yeah, very excited to see the 2 Pacific Island teams jump in there. The Fijian Drua, I think, will probably hit the ground running, just because they're probably going to have a whole lot of combinations that they've been working on for years and years and years. So I'm really looking forward to them. The Pacific team, still not sure what the makeup's going to look like. It may take them a little longer to get up to speed with all the other teams. I'm still not quite sure why Australia have 5 teams. I think they struggle to fill 3. And I think a 10-team comp would have been much better, because we probably could have been able to fit in 2 rounds, home and away, sort of against, so you play every team, as opposed to the format that we have here with 12 teams, where you play some team, you play all the teams once or something like that, and then 3 teams twice, with a focus on derbies.
Yeah, it's an it's always going to be hard to balance, because the New Zealand derbies are going to bring in the gates. I think a lot more people are going to want to go and see Highlanders Crusaders or Blues Highlanders, as opposed to Blues Force or Crusaders versus Melbourne Rebels. But then again, at the end of the stick, the New Zealand teams are probably looking at the table going, hold on, we're 5 of the top 6 teams here, and yet we've got to play each other. And if it's all in one table, it would be pretty interesting. Well, would you have made any tweaks to that format that they've come up with, Richard?
Yeah, I mean, as Paul said, a 10-team comp probably would have made more sense. If they've gone with 12, that's fine. I mean, you got to feel for the you got to put a smile on your face, and the Western Force back in there, after what they've been through. Hopefully
just
they
for
can.
Jeremy, sorry, just for Jeremy Thrush's moustache, if nothing else, right?
Exactly. I don't know if you guys have listened to it's called The Breakdown, the podcast by The Australian, and they talk about sort of basically the breakdown of Australian rugby, and they talk about that whole Western Force fiasco. It sort of kind of reminded me of how the situation they were in. But with the 12, I think it's interesting they've gone with the playoff. I don't know if you've looked much into the sort of playoff, sort of just the 1v8. Having 8 of the 12 teams go through the playoffs. I'm not so sure about that. Maybe
I have some thoughts on that.
There'll be a number of losing teams who make the playoffs.
Having 2/3 of a competition make the finals is one of the great nonsenses in world sport.
Yeah, so I don't know. You could have had maybe the top 6 or the top 2 having a bye in the first round or something like that, or even just having top 4. I mean,
or even a top 5 like they used to with the NRL back in the day, where I think the top seed had a bye the first week, and then 4 and 5 played an elimination one, and 2 and 3 played I quite enjoyed that sort of format, and I think 5 teams out of 12 sort of is a better fit than 8 tems out of 12 making the
playoffs. You got like under 50% or 50% or under, but
I think they do that so that they can guarantee an Australian team makes the playoffs.
Pretty much,
yeah. Although it could be great, if the bubble bursts again week 1 of the playoffs, no worries, because all the finals teams are in New Zealand, so you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, but I thought, it seems like one of those things where maybe in the NBA it makes sense if you've got more than half the teams making the finals, because you pretty much never see an 8 seed beating a 1 seed. They're a one-off game. Like, all it takes is a random red card in the 3rd minute or something, and all of a sudden the top seeds been bundled out after 14 weeks, which
I think you could have a team who's 8 won under half their games and they're making the finals. Just I don't know, but they might. I don't know how long they've agreed to on that sort of 8 teams making the playoffs format. I just thought it was kind of weird that they play everyone and then you play 3 teams. It's sort of disadvantage to the New Zealand teams, as you said, because I think they're going to play either 2 of either the New Zealand teams. And I think it's the Moana Pacifica who are in the New Zealand conference. Speaking of conferences, I'm very happy to see the conferences gone as well. It was very confusing, that whole conference system and the Super Rugby as we knew it in the last few years. So, it's gone. But Oh, I'm excited to see it though. It's gonna just I really just hope that we can have a tight sort of competition and just Moana Pacifica and Fiji team can put on some good performances and showcase the talent. There's so much there.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I think. Sorry, I'll let you go, Paul.
I was just going. Josh Ioane not going to the Pacific team.
Don't jump ahead of the run sheet.
Yeah.
We'll get to him. We'll get to him. Yeah, but I was going to ask. For me, the Fiji Drua in particular, I'm really excited to see because there's so many local talents floating around in Fiji. I think you see every time their national team gets a run, they pull guys out of the local competition there who turn into stars and get pinched to go to France pretty much straight away. I think the first year they played in the Australian NRC, they actually won the whole thing like straight off the bat. So I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if we can get a price on it just yet, but Fiji Drua to finish ahead of any Australian team on the ladder next year might be worth a little tipple if we can talk the bookies into it.
Nice, yeah, I like that. I like the sound of that.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, hopefully they maybe get one or two guys back from Europe, and then there'll no doubt be some guns who've been playing sevens in the villages for a few years who just turned into superstars. So yeah, really excited to see them. But Moana Pacifica, probably the bigger question mark of the two new entities. We touched there Josh Ioane, who has he played for them in the game against Maori All Blacks in Hamilton at the end of the year before last, but he's headed just down the road to Hamilton instead of, I think, is it Mount Smart or South Auckland where they're going to be based?
Were they going to share it or I'm not sure.
No, I think it might be up in the air because they're sort of hoping to play games in Apia and Nuku'alofa, but that's probably not going to happen, at least for the first season.
No, but when we get back to normality,
that'll happen one day, Paul.
Yeah, hope so.
Don't we all? Yeah.
Yeah, Josh would have been a good fit for the Pacifica team.
I think there might be another off-contract All Black, current All Black, even not for All Black, who might be. I wouldn't be surprised to see running out in a Moana Pacific kit this time next year, though. But
Beauden Barrett
used to play with Beauden Barrett in Super Rugby at least.
TJ
might be captaining a certain international side on the weekend.
Ali, yeah,
he's off contract, and I think
he's shown interest in playing, representing Samoa in the past day. I think he was saying it in League A, but yeah.
So
that would be beautiful to see.
If you play for the Pacifica team, are you still eligible for the All Blacks?
Yeah, there's we don't know the exact rules yet, but it sounds like they're going to be allowed to sign at least 3 All Black or New Zealand Rugby contracted players essentially, and then there's a bit of wiggle room around like ex-All Blacks coming back to New Zealand who want to play and things like that. So
I think there's they need to have 80% of people who are eligible for Tonga
Pacific Island teams.
Yeah. And then this. So I think that means there's 8 players that can play for anywhere. Be eligible for anywhere else.
Well, it might bring back a few ex-All Blacks who've gone to Europe or Japan a season or two earlier than they normally would have, which would be great. It would be great they can then pass on all the knowledge and skills that they've picked up to the next group of players coming through. It would only make Pacific Rugby even stronger.
Yeah, so I think the key thing for them, though, is going to be getting those pathways from Samoa and Tonga at a young age. You see so many guys like Shannon Frizzell, the Whanganukus come to mind, guys who come from Tonga at high school and end up being put into the New Zealand Rugby pathways and fast track towards the All Blacks. But hopefully we can see a few more of them sort of kept in the Samoa and Tonga systems, and Moana Pacific is probably a really good way to do that. So yeah, like I said, it should be only positives for Pacific Island Rugby, you'd have to say.
Big
time. It doesn't go down that Sunwolves sort of route, started so promising, but then it kind of they didn't pick up too many. Didn't pick up too many wins in their time in Super Rugby. But I mean,
the wins they did pick up though.
Yeah, that's true.
I think they're going to have to build probably a more firmer foundation rather than just having sort of journeymen coming back, playing for a year or two, and then just cycle them all in and out again, right? You're going to need some homegrown talent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it'd be chat that Aaron Major might be coach.
That's the current rumor. Yeah, I heard the Tana's name been thrown around once or twice, but yeah,
whose name was that? Sorry.
Tano Umaga. I think his name had been thrown around because he's involved with the Samoa coaching staff, but it seems like Major's got the inside running at this stage. But yeah, just touching on that recruitment front, is there anyone you guys? I'll start with you, Paul. Is there anyone you think might be a good player or a couple of guys for Moana Pacifica to target that floating around New Zealand rugby or overseas?
Well, you just brought up Artie just a while ago, and you could probably throw his brother in there as well. He wouldn't look out of place on the wing for the Pacifica team. I know the little halfback down in the Highlanders country.
Yeah, that's the interesting one, right? Because he's just re-signed with the Highlanders for a few years.
Yes,
I think he obviously wants to play for the All Blacks. But he's probably the sort of exact example of a talent that might end up playing for Tonga now, and if they do have them on, it's like a pathway there. But yeah, he'd be great for them. Yeah,
he would. Yeah.
Anyone you've got your eye on Rissy as well?
I mean, all players who are probably, I think, still on contract, but there's a couple of front rowers up playing for the Blues that could probably do with getting a bit more game time with Hodgman and Lalala starting. So Tuakafasi and Kautua and Kuafi. Sorry, that was shocking. But I thought that either of them would be keen and proud to sort of play for Moana Pacifica. Obviously not next year. I think they're both still on contract at least another year. But those would be good ones. And an ex-All Black. Is Vicky Taylor still around? Is he still?
Yeah, he's playing for Wasps, I think. Because he's actually one of the few who have renationalised or gone through the Sevens process, so he is eligible to play for Tonga now, I believe.
I'm not sure how long his contract is there, but I mean, someone like him, come back, play for a season or two, just to sort of as always swan song. As you say, he's sort of obviously shown interest in representing Tonga, so. Yeah, he'd be a good one. Did you have anyone run down, Patrick?
Well, there's a couple of guys. I think it's going to be interesting. There's a lot of obviously Pacific players running around in the top 14 over in Japan, and with the money on offer there, I think it'll be pretty hard to drag too many of them down. But maybe a couple of the younger guys who I don't even know if they're eligible for Tonga still, but have Tongan roots, guys like Jose Somakai and Tim Lafaele, who been doing really good things for the Sunwolves and in the top 14. I think that would be a really, really good area to target, get away from the traditional Super 14 or the European bases. And this might be, especially guys like that who maybe haven't been playing the highest level of rugby club-wise, it's a chance for them to prove themselves and then maybe use that as a launch pad for a really big money move to Europe. So you could potentially target it that way. Say, hey guys, come down here and you get to test yourself against playing New Zealand Super Rugby franchises 7 or 8 times a year, and then if they make good money in Japan, but they could, if they want to catch the other French clubs or those big English teams, could be a way to go. So I think Somaki's one in particular. He was an absolute gun for the Sunwolves that last year before they really fell off a cliff. I think I'd like to see what he could do in Super Rugby more full time. But yeah, and then obviously the guys like Luatua and Fekitoa who are going around overseas. It'd be cool to see them sort of come back. I think Luatua in particular, we missed so much of his better rugby in New Zealand because he went overseas at such a young age. Charles Piutau as well, another one who's obviously.
I was going to ask because he's still playing.
I think he's the highest paid player in the world at the moment. He went to Bristol first, so I don't think you'll be cheering up that contract. But
he made the right decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Luatua might be a more realistic target. I think there has been talk of him being keen to come back to New Zealand, so that'd be one. He's a good leader as well. Maybe someone you can build that forward pack around. So, plenty of I'm sure we'll see plenty of news around that to come. Obviously, they've signed. The name's escaping me. The former Australian prop who played for Counties against Manawatu the other week. He's lined up for.
There we go. Shameless plug for Manawatu once again. Only took how long? Wow.
I was shouting at Counties there, but that's another example of getting some really good experience, veteran leadership up front, and you can sort of build a solid type of someone who's played 100+ tests like that. It's always going to be handy to have in the pack. But a lot of the water that's still going to the bridge there.